But the question that is in everybody's mind is how much of U.S. hands is beneath all of this? Because you've been hearing it, that this is a U.S. coup that has just happened in your country. So tell us, how many of the fingers are involved? 5 or just 1?
Thank you very much. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Lisa for informing us about that event. We chose, me and my dear colleagues, to come. It's a learning process for us. We are amazed about how much depth we have had that debate. I benefited a lot. I'd like to thank all the panelists and to thank you, my dear brother Simoni, the moderator. You have put the debate in such a way that it is extremely beneficial. Being the last to speak, I know it's difficult. I did not appear here to come as an official speaking in front of an audience. I came as an Egyptian citizen, so that you can benefit from the presence of a couple of Egyptian citizens. First of all, I'd like to say that I have a reservation towards the comment, the question whether Egypt is even African or not. Egypt is African, this is a given, this is a constant, it is not a variable. Egypt is too African. I can give you 100 examples of that, how Egypt is too African. You can look at the temples where you'll see the cows, where you can watch in Uganda and in Nigeria. You can speak about the FGM, how it is too African in Egypt. We don't have it in the Arab world, for instance, and so on and so forth. But this is just the beginning stuff. Then taking us, I believe the thrust of the debate was much of it was an attempt trying to clarify what is happening in Egypt. Is it a coup, is it a revolution, or it's something else? I would like to say as an Egyptian citizen that it is a democratization process. It is a country in transition toward democracy. It is the middle class Egyptians, millions and millions of Egyptians going into streets, calling for change, calling for better careers, better political setup, better political regime, better responses to their needs, aspirations. To debate whether it's a coup or not, the last event, I can say no, it was not a coup, because the definition of a coup is when generals have their tanks into the streets trying to topple or oust an elected president, and then they govern the place. I don't recall having witnessed a coup in Africa where 30 millions went into the streets calling for change. For me, as an Egyptian citizen, and I was in Cairo at that time, so I was an eyewitness, it was at least, we had that joke in Egypt about the sofa party, those who are sitting back at home without caring to intervene. The popular joke in Cairo was that people took the sofa and went into the street trying to say, we have had enough with Muslim Brotherhood. It was not a coup because it was a very clear popular uprising. People had availed an opportunity for Muslim Brotherhood to govern. They elected their own president, ousted one, and the ex-president Morsi. He was not reaching out to his own people. He was not having an inclusive government. He was not acting as a president for all Egyptians. That's why too many Egyptians, too many millions of Egyptians went into the streets calling for change. The second detail I would like to address the issue of why did the African Union qualify it as an unconstitutional change of power? Because the African Union used what they had at hand. We had the Rumi Declaration. We had developed a certain instrument in Africa to try to face and to oppress that dilemma of having too many coups in Africa. So that's why we had the ruler to measure and to say whenever we had unconstitutional change of power, of government, we automatically apply the measure of suspension. We call it suspension. We suspend the country from participation into the meetings of the African Union. But the African Union itself realized we fall short of having a proper instrument to measure. That's why in 2011 they didn't qualify it as an unconstitutional change of government. They were confused about it and so on. This time they rushed into the conclusion that it was an unconstitutional change, but yet they also issued a very important resolution. They said we will revisit our own instruments to develop it in such a way to be able to measure and to assess what is happening in Tunisia and in Egypt. If someone would give me an example of a coup where half of the population went into the streets calling for a change, I would accept that this was a coup, this was an unconstitutional change of power. I would like also to say that that the issue of accountability, transparency, yes, of course, 100%. This is a genuine aspiration of the Egyptian people. It was the incident of Khaled Said who sparked the change in Egypt. It was the incident of Bouazizi which sparked the change in Tunisia. People, younger generations, were speaking about half of the population is younger than 30 years old. They were born in the era of Mubarak. Those younger, brave Egyptian, brave-hearted younger Egyptians, they went into the street exactly for the same reason, asking for a better human rights, better security forces, better so on and so forth. So I couldn't agree more. Yes, we are asking and calling for accountability. Yet, it is a work in progress. You know, a country with the size of mine, with 88 million people, with having a dictator for 30 years, speaking about Mubarak, cannot shift into being a full democracy in a couple of years. We cannot be as Britain in the records of human rights in 5 years' time. Believe me, it will take us longer to do so. But to show that at least we are on the right direction, we have Mubarak being tried. Mubarak is facing charges. Mubarak is behind bars. For God's sake, you need to realize that we are putting our Pharaoh, you know, we have that pharaonic heritage. We used to put our president in such a high niche, you know, they had all powers and so on. It's a mix of history and religion and so on. So now we have our last Pharaoh is behind bars, is being tried. It shows that we are on the right direction. That's why, you know, I'm as an Egyptian citizen, I would say that even if we are crippling, believe on the right direction. That's why people went into the streets again, and it is not an omen, but I believe they will keep doing so till the moment they have a full democracy, till the moment they have a truly inclusive government, a truly responsive government to their needs, a better wages, a better rights. It was the Mahalla workers 3 years ago who went into the streets saying, yes, we can have privatizations, we can have globalization, we can be privatized, but we need our rights, our wages, our minimum wages, and so on. And that debate is very heated and falls high in our society. Then that takes me to the detail of the role of the U.S. I'm not an American diplomat, but I can tell you very freely, the U.S. is a superpower. They have interests in the Middle East and elsewhere, and they are trying to address and to keep achieving and safeguarding their national interests. They have an interest in that the U.S. cannot forget about Egypt. They need to maintain very good working relationship, if not alliances, with whomever is governing and is doing business in Egypt. Of course, an American diplomat will give you a better perspective on that, but this is what I should tell you. The issue of the army, I need to be honest and straightforward about it. The army in Egypt has a very long history. You know, we need an army because we are in a region that used to have wars each 3 to 4 years. Starting from 1979, I can tell you how many wars we have had in the Middle East. I mean, Israel keeps invading other countries or attacking the surrounding countries. We have had 3 wars and then a peace deal, a very long-standing and solid peace deal with Israel. We need a strong army. But the army in my country is not the army that keeps intervening in the political arena. To the contrary, their experience while transiting was when the military, when SCAF was overlooking the transitional period, was a very negative one. It was the generals themselves who decided we do not understand politics. We cannot run politics. We do not have a lot to do with politics. Okay? That's why General Sisi and others opted for having the head of the Constitutional Court as the interim president. They did not have another formula of doing that business. So the army is like the custodian. The army had to avail certain safeguards for Egyptians in the 29th of June, 28th, 27th, and so on and so forth, because we have had Muslim Brotherhood threatening Egyptians, average Egyptians, of car bombs. It's either us or terrorists. Either I'm calling you my cousin, you are closer to my heart than my brother, and so on. You can quarrel with your brother, but you highly respect your cousin. I hope I didn't miss any point, but my colleague Saif will have the opportunity to cover if I missed one, to add or to react to all the remarks. I'm very grateful